Back on channel Secret Paradise. This time we'll talk about cultivation of rice and conditions, methods and production. Rice, a major crop for Thai household consumption and export purposes, is confronted with unoptimized yields while production costs and unpredictable weather conditions put farmers' margins at risk. With the end of subsidized farm gate prices, conventional rice cultivation appears no longer profitable. High use of agrochemical input has resulted in soil rice farming spread far and wide in ancient Southeast Asia, but how it got there has been a mystery. Now, a study of 4,000-year-old DNA, a rare find in this region, suggests it came with farmers migrating from China, where rice farming originated. That means the hunter-gatherers already living there didn't learn farming themselves, or from their immediate neighbors, but rather from distant people moving into their territory, a pattern that may have played out throughout this part of the globe. Rice is grown under varying conditions in India from 8 degrees to 25 degrees in latitude and from sea level to about 2,500 meter altitude. It is a tropical plant and requires high heat and high humidity for its successful growth. The temperature should be fairly high at mean monthly of 24 degrees Celsius. It should be 20 degrees minus 22 degrees Celsius at the time of sowing, 23 degrees to 25 degrees Celsius during growth and 25 degrees to 30 degrees Celsius at the harvesting time. The average annual rainfall required by rice is 150 centimeters. However, it is the temporal distribution of rainfall, rather than the total amount of annual rainfall which is more decisive. The rainfall should be fairly distributed throughout the year and no month should have less than 12 centimeters of rainfall. Lesser amount of rainfall is required as the harvesting time approaches. The fields must be flooded under 10 to 12 centimeters deep water at the time of sowing and during early stages of growth. Therefore, the fields must be level and have low mud walls to retain water. This peculiar requirement of rice makes it primarily a crop of plain areas. Rice grown in well-watered lowland plain areas is called wet or lowland rice. In hilly areas, the hill slopes are cut into terraces for the cultivation of rice. Such a cultivation in which the hill slopes are cut into terraces is called terraced cultivation. The supply of water to the hill terraces is not as much as in the plain areas, and the rice grown in hilly areas is called dry or upland rice. Rice can be grown on a variety of soils including silts, loams and gravels, and can tolerate acidic as well as alkaline soils. However, deep fertile clayey or loamy soils which can be easily puddled into mud and develop cracks on drying are considered ideal for raising this crop. Such soil requirements make it dominantly a crop of river valleys, floodplains, deltas and coastal plains, and a dominant crop there. High-level loams and lighter soils can be used for quick maturing varieties of rice. Black lava soil is also useful for rice cultivation. Rice culture is not much suited to mechanization and is called hoe culture. Most of the work in preparing the seed bed, in broadcasting seeds, or in transplantation of plants from nurseries to the fields, in harvesting and in winnowing operations is done by human hand. Thus it is a labor-intensive cultivation and requires large supply of cheap labor for its successful cultivation. Methods of rice cultivation. Following methods of rice cultivation are practiced. 1. Broadcasting method. Seeds are sown broadcast by hand. This method is practiced in those areas which are comparatively dry and less fertile and do not have much labor to work in the fields. It is the easiest method requiring minimum input, but its yields are also minimum. 2. Drilling method. plowing of land and sowing of seeds is done by 2 persons. This method is mostly confined to peninsular India. 3. Transplantation method. This method is practiced in areas of fertile soil, abundant rainfall and plentiful supply of labor. To begin with, seeds are sown in nursery and seedlings are prepared. After 4 or 5 weeks the seedlings are uprooted and planted in the field which has already been prepared for the purpose. The entire process is done by hand. It is, therefore, a very difficult method and requires heavy inputs. But at the same time it gives some of the highest yields. 4. Japanese method. This method includes the use of high-yielding varieties of seeds, sowing the seeds in a raised nursery bed and transplanting the seedlings in rows so as to make weeding and fertilizing easy. It also involves the use of a heavy dose of fertilizers so that very high yields are obtained. The Japanese method of rice cultivation has been successful. Area and yield have increased by about 4 times, 1.5 times and 3 times respectively. It is interesting to note that the rate of increase in production is much higher than the rate of increase in area under rice cultivation. This is due to the increase in yields as a result of better inputs and farm practices. The rice growing guide has been comprehensively updated by agronomists, cereal chemists, pathologists, entomologists and breeders. Updates include evidence-based recommendations on currently grown commercial varieties. New topics reflect recent challenges to rice production such as cold damage and mice, and acknowledge best environmental practices around stubble burning. Embracing good farm practices is the right path to ensure high yields and sustainable crop production. That's all about the video this time. See you again on the Secret Paradise channel.